Hey.
Hey, Pep, what are you working on today?
Oh, I just doing a little Sunday afternoon or Sunday, whatever time it is. Yeah, it is 2 o'clock. Engine assembly here. I'm trying to get this 6068 engine back together. I got everything ready to go on it. The crank didn't need turned, but we had it polished.
What machine is that out of?
It's out of my Timco. Well, this engine is actually one I had here out of the old 437 loader, and I put a remand in it when I sold it. So I had this block, which was still good, it just wore out. So we went ahead and ripped it down. It's in the office, trying to keep some of the dirt off it. But right now I am putting in the crank bearings, the main bearings for the crank. So I'm just cleaning up the caps and trying to put them in order here. That's number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I need 2. Oh, 2 is done.
Who's there?
2 is there. So I need 6 needs a bearing. 2 is already done. Okay, so how these work, for those of you who have never rebuilt engines before, these are your new bearings. These are your new bearings. Okay, these are the bearing inserts. So I gotta check these and make sure they're standard. My crank is still standard size because we didn't cut it. So it says STD on them. Sexually transmitted disease. So no, it's standard. It means they're made for standard crank. Now, if you cut the crank, come over here, Mammy. If you do end up cutting the crank down on these, see, here's your journals where these ride, right? So if you end up cutting your crank down, whatever, if you cut the crank 10 thousandths or whatever, then you have to get a set of oversized bearings that have 10 thousandths more babbitt on them to take up the clearance, so your crank don't slop around, right? So, all right, so that's the crankshaft. We're gonna maybe attempt to put that in here today. I might need I don't know if Mammy can handle it or not, maybe. But see how these bottom ones go? You've got an oil hole here, and what can you see that? What that oil hole does is corresponds. See these oil holes? They're called oil galleys. All right. So as the engine is turning, it's turning an oil pump and pulling your oil out of the pan. Now this is upside down. This would be the pan, and it's sucking oil up and pushing it through the pump. And then, you know, when you're revving up, you've got about 40 pounds of oil pressure coming through these galleys. See them?
How come some have 2 and some have 1?
Because apparently there might be a different. I'm not sure why this other one is here. I don't know, but the oil is obviously coming out of this one that lines up. See, they got a notch right here too, this little notch tab, and when you put the bearing in, it lines up. See, it also lines up with that oil galley, and that's what happens. See, the oil gets out and gets in this groove. See this little groove, and it oils continuously. So what it does is it builds up a few thousandths film, and the crank is actually turning and floating on an oil film. That's why they don't wear out. So it was okay
to cover up that second hole in that thing?
Yeah, that's the way it's made. I don't know what maybe a different application uses the other hole. I don't know, but these are the standard John Deere bearings. So, okay, we got one more. These are called main bearing caps. So we got these all in a row here. There's actually 7 of them, because the last one is your rear main bearing. That's good. Rear main bearing, and that's the old one. So, but yeah, the back is called the rear main bearing journal. Okay, and it also has what's called a thrust washer on it here. See it? So it's grooved for oil, but it actually has, so if the crank moves, the crank's allowed to move a few thousandths. I'm not sure what that's called end play. I'm not sure what the crank end play is on this, but you're allowed so much, and if you've got too much end play, then this would be how you remedy that, by putting a thicker one in here as a shim. But these should be all standard, and it should meet the spec and give you the proper end play on your crank. So okay, here's my last journal cap, main cap here. So we're gonna go ahead and put the last box of bearings in this, and then these here, and that crank will be ready to set in.
Woohoo!
So then we can set it in. I don't know if we're gonna get to it today. Mammy's getting hungry. I gotta feed the Mammy.
Yeah.
But, so we'll put that crank in. So I got the other cap here. This is for the bearing, rather, for the cap. And those are all.
Okay, so these are going to go on the top.
Yeah, these are actually numbered. See, one.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the 6 journals, and then the main journal on the back 7. So you got 7 main caps. Those are called your main bearings. See? Now come over here. I'll show. I got the O-rings in these. Mammy cleaned out all the O-ring lenses in here. We got an orange O-ring and a black one, and I do want to make sure that. I think the orange one goes in the top. We're going to make sure before we do any more, because I had a kid started assembling this, and I wanted to make sure he did it right. I mean, he's a good kid, but I just wanted to check up on him. So we got to check that. So I knocked that. He had this one in. I knocked it out. So that's good. The orange is on the top. So we got 2 O-rings. One seals. I think one seals water and one seals oil. I can't remember, to be honest. Or one's a backup ring and an O-ring, and one's an O-ring. So each one, and what that does is, see, this is the new cylinder liner. When it goes down in, it seals off all the water from the block, because this whole block in here, in this section, between the top of the engine, the deck, and these seals, is water. This is what cools your engine. That's where your water, your antifreeze is. But you don't want any antifreeze coming down into here, because the antifreeze gets in here, it contaminates your lubricating oil. And if it gets on your bearings, it scores them, and your engine will, wear out and blow up. So
don't want that.
No. So that's what seals them. So it's very imperative that these are in properly, and that they seal properly.
So who put that one on? Are you sure that one's right there? That
I'm gonna check on the online thing, and make sure. But I think Joe looked it up, and I think the orange ones do go up top. So I think he's got it right. But I just wanted to make sure, So all right. So next in line, we'll make a little series of this. Next in line, we're gonna set the crank in, and we're gonna set our journals, our main caps back on, and we'll torque these main cap bolts to spec, which I can't remember what they are. Make 140 or 180. What?
You got a little black smudge. You look like that. Hitler's mustache.
That's nice.
Yes, that's nice.
That's Nazi calls it my porn stash.
Yeah, that too. That's gross.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, whatever. Hi, everybody. Thanks for subbing, and thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all that fun stuff, and thanks for bearing with us. We're hopefully going to get a little busier here. September don't look good. October's a little more promising from what I was hearing from the procurement man. So we got a couple jobs lined up. We got plenty to do if we can move the wood. So.
Yep.
But we are. I want to get this thing running. I want my Timco going. I just love it. I mean, Kimmy's all right, but boy, I'm spoiled. I mean, Kimmy does good, but that Timco just spoiled me rotten. The zero turn is really nice. So anyway, I want to get it going. So okay, guys, ta-ta, peace out, and don't forget to get out and vote too when it's time. And spread the word. So see ya, ta-ta.
Ta-ta.